Hello everyone and welcome on the YouTube channel of GHEtool. On this YouTube channel you can find all videos related to GHEtool Cloud and general challenges with regards to geothermal systems. And in today's video, which is the first on this channel, we will be going over the newest release of GHEtool Cloud. And I will show you how you can get started with your first geothermal project. In later videos we will go more into detail about the different options you have when designing your geothermal systems, all the features of GHEtool Cloud, but the most important thing is that you just get started with designing your systems and discover all the possibilities along the way. So if you go to our website of GHEtool.eu, you can click on the cloud version and you will enter this login page. On this login page, you can register yourself as a new user with your name, last name, email and password. Then you will receive a confirmation email. There you confirm your email and you will be able to log into our tool. Now, I've already done that, so I will go ahead and log myself in. So, and then you will be on the project page of GHEtool, where you will see a list of all your projects, which is currently empty since we have not created a project yet. You will see all the information, your personal information, your email, your preferred language. Currently GHEtool supports English, Dutch and also German. You have the admin dashboard where you can enter your company information, which is needed in order to have a professional license. Later on you will see a list of all the payments. You can add users to your company account and you have some more detailed report settings if you opt for that type of license. But let's go back to our project. You can see we cannot click on add a new project because we have not yet a trial license. So let's start one by clicking on this banner and yes, I want to activate my trial period. And now you can see that you can add a new project. So let's go ahead and do that. Within GHEtool you can start your project in three different ways. You can start from a blank project, working with our default values. You can start from a template. So when you have multiple projects, you can say that one project is a certain template and it will be listed here. Or you can start from an existing project and just duplicate it. But now we will start with a blank project and we will name it my first project. Let's go ahead and create it. And now we're in the project view of GHEtool. On the left, you find all your action buttons related to the scenarios. You can rename a scenario. You can duplicate a scenario and you have the project dashboard with all the information about the project, the name, created, language. You find report settings here and you can generate your report over there. Currently we have only one scenario, and in the scenario you will see that there are different tabs, and basically for every geothermal project you typically go over all these steps. So when you do that, in the end you will end up with your geothermal design. In the first general tab, you choose what you want to do with GHEtool in this scenario. We have different options. It's a very comprehensive tool, but for this first tutorial, let's start with the beginning and just calculate the temperature profile of the underground. When you hover over all the buttons, you will also see what each of them will do. You have some information about the report, should this scenario be included in it or not. Let's say it will be. You have some simulation settings, and you have temperature limits. All geothermal design should be kept within certain temperature boundaries. You have a simulation period and the month at which the simulation period will start. Let's keep it all the same for now. And you also have here some extra buttons. Sometimes it matters a little bit on, or it depends on which aim you choose. So let's go to the next step, which is the ground information. In GHEtool you can enter the ground using the assumption of a homogeneous ground, where you say, well, the whole ground has the same properties, the same conductivity. This is mostly done. You can enter here the geothermal parameters. So let's say we have a ground with a conductivity of 1.8 watt per meter Kelvin. You can enter the temperature of the ground. For example, you have perhaps a TRT test, a temperature response test. Then you can enter the undisturbed ground temperature directly. If you do not have those type of tests, then you can enter or use one of the available temperatures from our database, or you can use your own custom gradient and temperature flux. For more design projects or more detailed design, you can also enter the ground information per layer. It will help GHEtool optimize for certain aims the required depth. Okay, let's go to our bore field section. You can enter the bore field in different configurations. So you have a rectangular configuration. We have a dense configuration where the boreholes are not aligned on an orthogonal grid, but they are shifted each row. So it's more compact, it's more dense. You have the line option where all the boreholes will be placed on a line. A box where there will be emptiness in the middle. You have an L-shaped, a U-shaped, or a circle-shaped bore field. And you can also enter the bore holes per coordinate. But let's start with just 8 boreholes in a rectangular shape. And if you move over to the borehole resistance page, you have the same thing. And perhaps your borehole resistance has been measured, and then you can enter it directly. But most of the time you want to calculate it using different parameters. So here we have all the heat exchangers that are available within GHEtool, and each of them does have a couple of parameters. And for example, here we have a double U-tube system with a certain grout conductivity and a certain diameter and thickness of the pipes. We have also the fluids data. Here we're going to use water glycol, monopropylene glycol of 30% with a mass flow rate of, let's say, 0.3 liters per second. And you can see here directly the effective borehole thermal resistance and its laminar flow. Okay. The last step we need to do in order to have a geothermal calculation is to define our thermal demands. This you can do in various ways within GHEtool. First of all, you can determine whether or not you're working with building loads or geothermal loads. If you say, well, we work with building loads, then it means that all the information you enter is the energy demand of the building itself, and it will be put onto a heat pump, and the heat pump will extract the energy from the ground. If you work with geothermal data, then it's the energy that's extracted directly from the ground, so there's no heat pump more involved. So let's say we start with building data. Then we can choose for monthly or hourly loads. You can import the hourly loads, you can work with also multiple years in your loads. So if you have a phased master planning, for example, where the first years do have a different load characteristic than the last years, you can enter that within a CSV file. Let's start with the monthly data for now. And then we have to choose between an absolute or a relative load type. If we work with an absolute load, then you have to enter all the data in kilowatts or BTU per seconds, and the energy also. But most of the time you can stick with a relative load, and then we have predefined for you a sort of profile to distribute the energy and the power for each month, and you just have to enter 4 numbers with the maximum power in heating and cooling and also the yearly energy demand. We have heat pump information data. If we work with hourly data, we can also go and combine active and passive cooling, but that's for another video. Let's also enter some domestic hot water of 800 kilowatt hours per year. Let's keep the peak duration for what it is. The peak duration you see here, it's basically how long the heat pump will work continuously at this peak power. So basically when the heat pump is delivering its peak heating, for example, how long what is the duration of that peak? Let's say it's 8 hours, which is more or less the default value for floor heating. And then we can start calculating our scenario. So it will be sent to our servers, and depending on the complexity of your project, you will get an answer rather sooner. So these are the results we get. So we have some numerical results where we see there is a ground imbalance, meaning that the ground cools down year after year. And that's also something we see on the figure on the right hand side. We have the minimum and maximum temperature, the undisturbed ground temperature we see. We have an equivalent borehole thermal resistance. We also have the pressure drop, which comes in handy when we start with the hydraulic design of our system. We have the Reynolds number, and we have the possibility to enter some information. So as you can see here, the temperature stays well between our temperature limits. So I think this bore field is a little bit too big for this building load. So let's type it in the description. The bore field is oversized. Let's say that. Okay, so now what do we do? We typically calculate multiple scenarios when working with geothermal designs. So let's duplicate the scenario and rename it to, let's see, smaller bore fields. It just duplicates all the parameters we had before. So let's go ahead and do our bore fields page. And I think if we let go of these 2 boreholes, the field will be sized better. So let's do this, and now we have 6 boreholes instead of 8. Let's find out whether that makes our design more economical. And now we see that it's way closer to the allowed temperature limit of 17 degrees. So I will say this bore field is perfect for our project. Let's go ahead and save that. And I will also generate a report, because I think it comes in handy having 2 scenarios and then all combined in one PDF report, which is already done. Perfect. And here it is. It's the report we created with both our scenarios. Our first scenario and then our second scenario. And you can enter an introduction to it, you can add conclusion to it, but that's all for another video. So if you now go back to our project, to our account dashboard, you see we have here our first project. And I think it's a good project, so I'll mark it as a template. So that was basically our first video on this channel, how you can get started with your own geothermal design. If you think this is interesting for you or for your company, consider subscribing to this YouTube channel so you will receive updates whenever a new video comes out. Please try it out yourself, and until next time, see you, bye.